Hi, everyone. Welcome back to UCCA's Alumni Speaker Series. This is our second episode in the series focusing on self-development, so seeing how alumni are continuing to grow and learn outside of the school setting, what kind of skills and habits they've started building up to do that. And I'm really excited to have Raisa here with me today. So I'll pass it off to her to introduce herself, so talk a bit about what your major was and maybe a bit about what you've been up to since graduating.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Stephanie. So, hi everyone. My name is Raisa. I am a recent grad from UC. I did a BCom, majored in business analytics, and I minored in data science. I graduated in 2021, so not too long ago, and I'm currently working at IBM as an associate consultant as part of their enterprise strategy team.
Awesome. Would you like to start off by talking a bit about what sort of extracurriculars you were involved with in university, including your role with UCCA or HCC as you knew it?
Sure. Yeah. So with UCCA, my bad. I held a couple roles. So I started off as a consultant in my first year on one of their pro bono consulting projects. I moved into the director of recruiting role, which is now director of talent, where I did the recruiting for the internships and pro bono consulting projects that the club offers. And then I moved into the VP role for a term. And then for my last year of school, I was president. So that was kind of my involvement with UCCA. Lots of different roles that I held, which is awesome. Outside of the club, I was also involved in a few other clubs. I held like leadership roles with HSA, which is like the Haskayne Students Association. And I did a few case comps here and there. Most notably, I was part of the Inter-Collegiate Business Competition team, I.C.B.C, as a part of their management of information systems team, and then later the HR team.
So a little bit of everything and trying to balance all that stuff. When you first started getting involved in extracurriculars, did you find that it was really easy? Because I think for a lot of first years when they start off, it can be pretty overwhelming with all of the opportunities, especially in Haskayne. Do you have any advice for any new students that are coming onto campus and looking for a way to kind of get their foot in the door?
So I definitely did find it overwhelming as well. It's just, you're right, it's a lot to take in. There's so many different cool things to do on campus. And I think for me, what it came down to is like, what am I actually interested in? And what do I think I have something to learn through? So those are the opportunities that I sought out. And my mentor when I was in first year was the president of the club at the of UCCA at the time. So it was a very natural transition for me to learn more. So I think what I definitely recommend to first years is to like find a senior year student that you can ask those difficult questions to, because there's definitely like different clubs will give you different experiences. So it's about finding the right one for you and finding the right extracurricular for you.
So specifically focusing on mentorship, I know it's something that gets talked about a lot in Haskayne especially. Do you feel that there are a lot of ways to get involved with mentorship on both sides, both being a mentee and being a mentor? And do you have any advice for people kind of looking for someone like that to ask questions for?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's definitely informal and formal ways of getting into mentorship. So as a younger year student, I think the key is to find someone in their more senior year who's willing to like informally either help you out or more formally through like peer mentorship programs, either through like Scholars Academy or anything run through Haskayne specifically. And I know other faculties have similar programs as well, where they connect first and like fourth years and so on. And then I think as you get older and you're in third or fourth year and you're looking more so at what you want to do career wise, what I found was helpful was finding career mentors. And on the more formal level, there's like the BMO mentorship program. And very similarly, I'm sure there's programs out there in other faculties. And then informally, it comes down to, reaching out to people like honestly on LinkedIn, just cold calling them. I know it's really daunting, but I'm glad that I did that. And some of the mentors that I have right now are just people that I'd reached out to just to have a conversation. And I really, really liked what they had to say. And I made that relationship a little more formal. So as a mentee, that was my experiences. And then on the other side, as I got older, when I became like an informal mentor to first and second years, that was really impactful as well. And it's a really great way to learn and reflect on your own experiences so that you can help someone else out. And now that I'm a new grad, it's cool helping like third and fourth years out who are still trying to figure out what they want to do in consulting. So yeah, playing the role of a mentor and a role in a mentee, I've played both, and both are super rewarding and really helpful in your academics or your career, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things you hear a lot is no one's going to turn you down usually if you want to ask them for coffee and to pick their brain a little bit, but I think it's probably a little more daunting. It sounds a little more daunting than it really is.
Absolutely.
So looking at how you've now come into your career a little bit and working at IBM, do you find that the company provides any opportunities for you to get involved outside of your regular scope of work, or do you kind of, if not, how do you seek out those sort of opportunities?
So IBM definitely does, and I know all consulting firms do. So just for the sake of being as like general as possible for the viewers, I'll be general. So I think in terms of like what most consulting firms offer, aside from the project you're working on, there's learning opportunities. So either internally, like IBM has a badge system where you can get collect badges on design thinking, cloud fundamentals, and so on. And there's very similar programs internally at other firms. And then externally, a lot of firms sponsor like funding for you to do courses that you're interested in upskilling. So maybe you want to take like a agile certification. That's something that if you work out with your manager, they're very likely to support financially. And so that's with training. And then training aside, what you can also get involved in are like pro bono activities. So the pro bono consulting projects are actually a really good representation of the work I'm doing on the side of my desk at IBM. So I'm working with a nonprofit in Atlanta actually, and offering them pro bono consulting services. And it's really rewarding in the same way that UCCA's pro bono consulting projects were rewarding when I did them a few years ago. So that's another way to get involved. And then the last way is kind of to support like recruiting initiatives where you're meeting with students in school and really either mentoring them or getting to know them, supporting your firm's recruiting, which is really, really fun. And now that I'm on the other side, it's like all I want to tell students is like, relax, it's okay. I actually want to meet you. So those are, I think, the three ways. So like learning, pro bono, like other project work, and then like recruiting or just other firm support services.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of opportunities then to get involved and do things outside of work. Do you find it difficult sometimes to maybe balance work with those other opportunities, or you're pretty busy in university, so do you find that balancing that kind of workload or the course load with extracurriculars in university kind of carries through into your work life now?
So I think the skills you learn in university when it comes to time management and being able to work under pressure, being able to manage your stress definitely carry through when you start a career in consulting or any career, to be frank, because you're able to manage your time better. So let's say if I have like 20 minutes where I'm not really doing anything in the workday, instead of like doing nothing, I will work on the stuff that I have on the side of my desk, like the pro bono work. So because like you're kind of chipping at it slowly rather than leaving it to the last minute, I find it to be really manageable that way. And it's manageable to do on top of the project that you're on at work. And I'm sure like, things kind of ebbs and flows, but overall, I'm finding it manageable because I, as you said, was super busy in my undergrad. So it's like not a big surprise as to how busy work is.
Awesome. And with all of those things on your plates, do you have a favorite hobby or a pastime to kind of try to find balance in your life and kind of find ways to kind of relax and take a break from all of the stress of work, particularly with COVID, given the fact that a lot of people work at home and they have to try to find that balance as well?
So I think the pandemic allowed me to pick up quite a few hobbies. So I'm now a plant mom, and I think if I move to this side, you can see some of them behind me. And I read a lot. I've always read a lot through undergrad, through like high school, through work. So that's a really good exercise for me. And picked up like jigsaw puzzles. I picked up painting. So lots of things to kind of de-stress and um, just be like not work or anything like that. And those hobbies are really great to do like with the pandemic working from home, as you said, just because they're easy to pick up and you don't have to go outside for it. But now that life is opening up a little more, it's always nice to hang out with friends. So I'd say that would be the last hobby of mine.
So you mentioned reading a lot. Is there anything that you're particularly reading at the moment that you're really enjoying? And do you ever find yourself, is it always just reading for pleasure, or do you kind of read for work as well, or find things that kind of tie into your career as well?
I'm actually the worst at this. I never read for like anything work related. All the books I read are like just because I want to and I like to read them. So what I'm reading, or the book that I finished last night, it's Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. So it's a prose book where it's like poetry. So where he talks about different elements of life. So definitely not work related, but rewarding to read nonetheless.
No, that's good. Sometimes that's me as well. It's sometimes much easier to get through a book when you're reading it because you're interested in, and not because you're doing
Mhm.
it because you feel like you have to. So I
Absolutely.
definitely understand. Um, Kind of talking more about things being online. I know that you mentioned you just graduated recently, so you might not have had as much experience jumping into a career in person. But how have you found starting off online and finding that balance right from the start and still trying to find a way to connect with people at work? How has that been juggling all of those things?
So I think when I started work, I started work in May. So we've already been in the pandemic for like 14 months at that point. So the adjustment was quite seamless because I already knew what the online environment was like. And last summer I did an internship online, so I had kind of figured out how to navigate the online working style. But what I found worked really well is like being able to like find a way to separate work and like your life. So whether that means you're not working in your bedroom, or it means like you close your laptop and make sure you don't use it for like things other than work. So things like that is what I have found helped. And to your point about connecting with colleagues, I find that everyone's so receptive, regardless of where you go, to meet the new person on the team and to welcome you. So I found no issue with that at all. And it's just so easy now, I find, to book something in someone's calendar. So before, when we used to be in downtown, you'd have to like meet them on the first floor and then go to a coffee shop. And so it wouldn't really be half an hour. But now, like when you book half an hour in like a leader's calendar, it is half an hour. So you're getting that full time, and it's more convenient for them, which is super nice.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that the pandemic's taught us is meetings are so much more efficient when you can
Mhm.
do them online. It is nice to have the in-person aspect, but sometimes you don't need to, maybe if you're working on a group project for school, all of you come to campus at the same time or book a room, or when you can just hop on Zoom. So that's definitely been kind of a give and take there.
Totally. It's very convenient to your point, like with the group meetings at school. I don't miss having to coordinate, meeting rooms and so on.
Um, I think this might be kind of our final topic or question to discuss. But what is something that you've learned since you've graduated, or that you, looking back in hindsight, realize is more important to focus on that you kind of wish you'd learned before graduating?
Mhm. I think my answer is a little like unique because it's not about um anything like work related. I think what I learned is like how to relax and how to find a work-life balance and the importance of finding a work-life balance, because when you start work, there's just so many cool things you can get involved in. Like there's this event you can attend, this learning you could do, this project you could get involved in on top of your existing work. So, and I think school for me was very similar. So there was like this club to get involved in, this case competition, this volunteering opportunity, but being able to just say like, wait, which one of these do I actually want to do? Or am I feeling some form of like FOMO and want to get involved because of that? And how will this opportunity help me like actually grow? And is it what I want to do that way? And I think when I started doing that, like I realized like, okay, school and work, it isn't like your entire life. So if doing one less thing that you kind of don't want to do means you have to spend more time with like loved ones, then that is a win, I think. So that's what I learned. I learned to relax, to prioritize, and to do what I need to do to get to a work-life balance that works for me.
That's awesome. Do you find that it's hard to say no sometimes? I think especially for high achieving students, you want to take on as much as possible, and you never want to kind of say no to an opportunity. But how did you kind of build up that skill and learn how to be okay with that?
Yeah, that was something I struggled with, to be honest, all throughout my undergrad. And I think I still am working on it. And it is such a hard skill. And especially when you're young, you think that saying yes to everything is impressive. And like it's validating, I suppose, to hear someone say, oh wow, like Stephanie, you're doing all these cool things, when in reality you're like, I don't like any of this stuff, so I'm just doing it just for what. So I think what I learned is to kind of take a step back before saying no or yes, and just thinking like, okay, do I really want to do this? What am I getting from this? um, is it going to help me grow professionally, personally, or is it just like internally fulfilling? Let's say it's a volunteer opportunity, and that's kind of how I like gauge that opportunity and say, okay, I don't think it's aligned with my interests or what I want to, what skill sets I want to grow right now, so I'm going to say no. And people appreciate that frankness, is what I've realized at work, because like your team doesn't want you to burn out, the people around you don't want you to burn out, and you're happier when you do the things that you want to do.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a skill that we'll be kind of working on for the rest of our lives. Probably it's probably hard to shake that validation and being able to find that balance. But that's great that you've already started working on that and found a way to relax and find balance. I think it gives me like a light at the end of the tunnel. Like it gives me a bit of hope.
You got those, Stephanie, don't worry.
So thanks so much for speaking to me today about this and kind of giving us an insight into your work-life balance and what you've been up to since graduating. Is there anything that you'd like to say to kind of leave people off with? Anything, any insights, anything to think about? Any
um
advice?
I think the big thing is just to take things one step at a time, and that you'll definitely figure things out at the end. I know there's a lot of uncertainty and like you comparing yourself against other students in your undergrad or in school. So just take things slow and do what you want to do, and things work out in the end.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining me today. It was really great to hear from you. And best of luck with continuing to find that work-life balance.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephanie.